Okie dokie. And I'm drawing a dragon right now. This is Brendan drawing dragons. What I'm doing actually right now is I'm doing a couple of things. First of all, I'm learning to play with this software. I think it's a new software. I'm not sure. I'm going to draw 3 pictures and yeah. Okay. I'm going to draw 3 pictures. I'm going to do, this is going to be for the, I'm just going to make this bigger. This is going to be for some things I don't know how to do with this. But this software is like working way too good to not use. So I'm just going to have to make do. This is for the YouTube. It's like an ad. That's what they call it. But I'm trying to think, how would I say that to make it like make sense actually. This is like when you go to YouTube, they have the new layout where you promote your channel, okay, with this one like star video up at the top, and that will it'll be like your advertisement for your whole channel itself. And so this one, actually I don't even need this right here. This is going to become a time lapse, basically, is what we're getting at here. For the horns, maybe like I want them to be kind of like antelope horns. Like, not, is it called an antelope? What's that animal? They have these 2 like straight horns that just come out like that, because you can use them, or they can use them. I don't know if we can use them. They can use them to stab their opponent, and they are actually dangerous. So we have here. One thing I noticed about the software, it's a little blurry sometimes when you actually kind of like you start zooming out. There's like the feeling of this. It's called Krita, and the feeling of it is just unbelievable. I mean, I feel like I'm actually working on paper again. I was just using the GIMP. I don't want to buy Photoshop. No offense to the Photoshop people, but it's quite expensive, and in the future I do plan to buy it. Just right now it's not the time for that. So let's see if this, using proper perspective, yeah, that should end up right about there. These are like bat wings. Bat wings have there's that outer bone, and actually their hands would normally be up here. I'm not sure. No, I'm gonna have his hands like down here. And then they have like 2 like bones on the inside that support the rest of the thing, the wing itself. And then with the body of the wing, remember, if you have this, if you do like old-fashioned, like look at old-fashioned kind of cheesy drawings of dragons, maybe they have they just have these 2 sticks that pop out like this. But you got to remember, when you're trying to be realistic, like, there has to be some muscle. Look at a chicken wing, for example. I think everybody knows a chicken wing, like a drumstick, I guess. Would that be, is a drumstick the leg or the wing? I don't know. But the point is, there's a lot of meat in there, and that meat is muscle, which is intended to flap the wings. And the same is true for all birds, or any winged creature even. They need to have a lot of muscle. So in here I put this big meaty part there. That'll be some muscle intended to actually flap the wings. And the legs, yeah, go like this. This stuff all has to be studied, really. You can't just jump in there and say like how to draw a dragon. I mean, they have stuff. They have stuff for that online. But I don't believe in it, because, well, as you can see here, I actually know. I'm not saying, I'm the best or anything, but I do know what I'm doing here. This is how you draw a dragon. You don't just study some circles. Like when you're younger, I guess a lot of people play with these, like how to draw books, and they show you, like, here's how you draw this, here's how you draw that. And there's nothing wrong with that. it's it's like a coloring book. You're just following steps, but it's not really a good way to get in-depth knowledge if you want to continue pursuing art as a career or as anything. Okay, these came out looking like way too much like hands. I'm trying to think what. It's kind of true. We should have this back here. I want to look more like a dog or a cat. And I guess, but technically speaking, there's nothing wrong with this. You have fingers coming out like that. Yeah, they look more like claws. Okay, it's kind of loose. And now he's a big fat body, and his head is like kind of small, which I don't know. Is that a problem really? It's like not that bad. His wing should be coming back around here basically. Not coming back there. It just doesn't look like it's taking up enough space really. Because maybe this, yeah, it's almost like the wind is blowing it back a little or something. And this is all good. There's a lot of stuff I don't know how to do with this software. I normally try and draw some straight lines using a tool. Now here, what we have over here is a wizard. So the fire comes down and the wizard has a force field up. And I would like this to be, like a perfect sphere, but I guess nothing ever works out perfectly. You want kind of like when it hits here, it's going to explode. It's going to explode back towards itself a little. It's going to spread out. It's going to come towards us. It's going to come around here. It's just going to, it's going to have a reaction and go out in every direction. And then there's going to be some, if it's lasting for any amount of time, if he's blowing like a strong 30-second stream of fire, he's doing like long-term thing there, then there's obviously going to be all this stuff going on. What I was imagining at first is that this is kind of like on top of the hill or a mountain cliff, and here comes the dragon. But I also I don't really, I don't know, I'm not sold on that vision completely. I'm also kind of feeling like inside, maybe where there's like in a cave, be kind of the word I'm looking for, I guess. So that means we'd have to take away something here, make this kind of more flat. Okay, let's have a look at the wizard. I don't want to go too far out of the norm, stereotypical wizard's hat and all this and that. He looks confident, but obviously there's going to be like wind. It's like the power of this this stream of fire coming towards him would certainly have a bit of a reaction, and so have this stuff going on here. Yeah, this I mean, I have to maintain some respect for the GIMP. I've used it for years, and it's served me well. But this is just this is unbelievable. This software is really working. So, do one of these. Maybe the power from a staff. So the reason I put the staff back here, there's a lot of I watch all these short videos and stuff and try and pick up knowledge from wherever I can, and sometimes I just you think you've learned enough and just no, you haven't. You never know how much stuff is out there. I was watching Jim Lee just do a quick drawing for someone, and he made all these points, so I was just like, whoa. Within like just 30 seconds of watching him do this thing, he just said all these really good things, such as during the composition phase, which is I'm kind of past composition phase at this point. I'm already filling stuff in, but in the composition phase, one of the things, like his wing is back here, his head is kind of protruding past it, so that pops out and gives us something to work with and helps to bring things out. Same thing over here, his hand is sticking out, making it very clear exactly what he's doing here, and It needs to be a bit. Do kind of want to have some leg like that. And this leg is back here dynamically. Okay, yeah. So you have all these things. You want things to stand out in a certain way, so it's just easy to pick up. Sometimes, and that's the most important part with a composite. I mean, for me, I could be wrong. Everybody has their way of viewing things, but for me, the composition phase, the most important part is to make things easy to understand. That's often, I mean, isn't that the goal after all? You want, why are you drawing a picture? You're trying to get a visual point across. And so again, I don't want to get too crazy with this to the point that I do want to be creative and try and make something look new and unique. But obviously, this is not like the first time a wizard and a dragon have been seen together. So I'm staying a little bit traditional, just to make it easy. And of course, this is all going to go into time lapse. So I want to keep going rather quickly here. Some stones around here and there, and this would be, for me, is what I'd call just a sketch phase. Really, we're still sketching here. And what kind of things do I think about when I'm sketching? Well, number one might be perspective. So I have some big rocks here, make some smaller ones back here, and it looks like they get smaller and smaller as they go off, and there's more of them, right? Because it's off in the distance, so you can see more. The field of vision, is what they call it, FOV, field of view. In the foreground, you can only fit so many objects, but as you go off into the distance, because things get smaller, you can fit more things in that area. And here is this comes around. Also, during the sketch phase, I want to do like I just did here. I want to lay down a lot of the foundation for things like anatomy and like I was talking about, the muscles here and there, all that stuff. Start throwing in some shading too at this time. There's nothing wrong with that. That's about that. I mean, actually, it's a really good time to put some shading in, because shading is going to be it's also a foundation of composition. When you have good shading, it helps things to pop out. And there's some things I can't really put into words that easily, but I mean, normally I could take the time to demonstrate a concept or two, but because this is going to go onto the into the time lapse thing, I want to just keep moving here. Do like I keep fumbling and hitting the wrong keys here. So this is a stream of fire, which means he's going to have bright light coming at him right here, and in order to get that across, bright light always makes darker shadows, or at least a higher contrast of shadow. So it should be things that are on the opposite side of the light here. Yeah, should give off that kind of feeling. And the same thing is true for the dragon, because this is spewing out light here, so it's like the light is in between them two, the both of them, and he should also have some some shadows behind him, kind of like this and that. Pretty much like that. So the way the erase mode works on this one is seems to be just one key. When I was in a GIMP, I would hit one key. I'm talking about the what do you call them? Hotkeys, shortcuts or hotkeys. What you do is you go into the menu and you program which keys put you into which mode. So I don't have to keep moving the mouse physically over to the toolbar menu, and if you have to do that every time you want to switch a tool, you have to move the mouse all the way over there, click on it, and it's kind of small little icons, so it's annoying. But this way, if you use the just use the hotkeys basically, and that'll solve that problem. So you can program it. I just tap on this key. With a GIMP, I would hit one of these buttons to go into brush mode and another one to go back into the erase mode. But with this one, it's a little different. You just hit the you program one key, and it basically toggles you back and forth from brush painting mode to the other mode, to erase mode. Now he's also going to have some cast shadow, and it always helps to think which direction is the shadow going to be going in. See right here, if I leave a little white underneath his belly, and that shows that the shadow is going here, and that's one of those little things that's important about the composition. Little things like that help to make it easy on the eye, just to see things. This is pretty cool the way it is here already. I think I might just do black and white. No, I should do at least one color one, because this is going to basically represent what I do on the channel, and I do color as well as black and white. I think this one I might just keep black and white, because I'm not really in the mode at the moment to keep this working. Now see, here's a part of the compositional thing. This area back here, it's off in the distance, and they're in a cave. So something somewhere around here has got to be like dark, because you're in a cave in the distance. So if you look into the distance, of the cave, then you should see just like nothing really back there, right? And I don't have to draw that darkness in if I don't want to. I can take another approach to it. But what I'm going to do in this situation, for the sake of composition, I'm going to take advantage of that phenomenon that it should be dark back there, and I'm going to use it to help bring out the contour of this character here, this creature, which is the dragon. It's just better that way. One of the things I liked, that I noticed with this software right off the bat, as soon as I just run it and start using it immediately, it has like pressure opacities where I can go. I can hit it soft like this, or I can hit it hard like that, and it has it's almost like a perfect paintbrush. It also has the sensitivity, so like if I press it hard, it gets thicker. How to say, like, let me zoom in here. If I press it hard, it's thick, and then as I lighten up, it'll get thinner and thinner, and I can even do like tiny little strokes like that. So that's all good stuff, and it just felt really natural, like a brush or if you have a pen. Sometimes the like felt tip pens and even ballpoint pens, they have that way about them too, because if you just tap it lightly on the page, you can get these really fine little points. If you push it harder, then obviously more ink will come out of it, and that'll make these thicker lines. And that's all very useful when you're doing this kind of stuff. Yeah. But I didn't really want this. See how it's getting kind of fuzzy? I'd probably be better off with a bigger brush and just fill that in there, something like that. Yeah. And this is the perfect time to do all this. Now another thing that's great about having all this extra black, this darkness back here, is that's going to really help to bring out the light. If you have a whole page that's just white upon white, then obviously you can't make out the difference of the different phenomenons going on here. What I'm going to do with this area over here is have it kind of like look mountainous, so you're like inside the cave, or just look cavey, whatever it is. Maybe some stalactites and stalagmites. I don't remember which one's which. They come down like this. Yeah. There could be more in the background there. And again, same as the ground, they would get smaller and smaller as it go back. Sometimes the trick with that is to really just have, what you need is like a representation of some of these things. Sometimes you look at, like, if you draw a crowd of people, somebody say, oh my god, you drew a whole crowd of people, must have taken forever. But what you don't realize is a lot of this stuff, you just draw like this big one in the foreground, and then these ones in the back, they just taper off. And since the ones in the foreground are blocking off most of the ones in the background, you're basically just giving a general, well, you're not working too hard, let's put it that way. It's not as hard as it looks. Let's focus on the ones in the foreground, and everything else will fall into place. So this area here is going to be a lot of smoke. It goes without saying, one of the greatest things here is that we have the ability to just erase, which you would not have if you're using a pen. Smaller here. We start to get into the foreground area. And this will go around like that. He's got kind of like a dome around him, or a sphere. And it should be like wind and dust, kind of like, just from, there's all this energy happening, basically. It's the easiest way to put it. It's hard to put each and every little scientific thing that's happening here into words, but to simplify it, there's just a lot of energy going on. And we want to show that we really want that this dome to show itself, to pop out, and also to have this character's just his area and his aura come out well. So you gotta do something like that, where we add a little shading around here, and also take away some of the shading, so you get sort of a glassy effect. Here's exactly, it's almost like you're behind a glass and you can see where the fire is hitting it, and the way that the energy is moving around it. Energy has waves. I don't know, I mean, I'm not like a scientist really, but if you just think about it, it's almost like all energy has waves, I think. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now you see how I started pretty much with a dragon, and I ended up all the way over on the other side just by filling in space and stuff. And what happens is, eventually after doing that, you come back to where you started from, and you say, okay, now that I've done all that, I need to rework this, which is exactly what I'm going to do right here. Two things I had in mind with I actually did a couple of rough sketches too, of before I even started this one, which you saw start as a very rough sketch. I had at least 3 like starter sketches, trying different angles and different positions for the dragon to be in. In one position, his body was like, it was like a snake, where he was holding himself up and leaning backwards, kind of thing. And that did not work out at all. It was just weird looking. I personally kind of thought it was cool looking, but I just couldn't help noticing that if I were to, you know, complete the drawing like that, then I could just hear voices of people already and saying like it looks weird. Or at the end of the day, when you make a drawing, it's like a piece of entertainment. People are either going to say they like it or they don't like it. And even if they don't say that, they're going to think it, and that's the important part. So you have to make it somehow pleasing to the eye, I guess is the word. And another kind of idea I had was that I want him to have sort of a snarling look to his face. So it looks like, it's like they're really in battle here. Since the light is on the other side of his tooth here, I can actually, because I'm trying to make fangs, I can actually just make that black. And it's a dragon anyway, who's to say he doesn't have black teeth? Yeah, I'm a little hung up on that tool thing, the way I actually just have to toggle it. I almost missed the old way with the GIMP. And it's not to say I'm going to stop using the GIMP, but I just picked this up. I was on Reddit and I just going through some random art threads, and this guy mentions Krita, which is this software, and I was like, what's that? Let me go check it out. And instantly it was just like, boom, that's it. You know, I'm going to use this. This is good. It's very good. They did a very good job at this. And it's with no complaints towards the GIMP either. Even the GIMP itself, the original creator, he was pretty adamant for many years when the GIMP first started gaining popularity. He was always pretty adamant about the fact that the GIMP is not Photoshop, and it's not even supposed to be anything like Photoshop. It's an image manipulation tool. That's actually the name. GIMP is a graphical image manipulation. What does the P stand for? I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not Photoshop. And so what was I saying? Oh yeah, and so I mean, he himself, the creator, he would get it's almost sound like he was getting a little snippy, a little little irritated sometimes, because he was, it was kind of like in response to being irritated by people who are constantly, because with free software you kind of welcome people to come and make comments and to let you know if there's anything, you know, not working, so that you can fix it. And so once that portal gets open there, people always love to come in and complain and ask for features and all different kinds of things like that. So I think there was a time there where he was kind of tired of being compared to Photoshop, and didn't really want to, didn't ever mean to take on a responsibility of making something that would just be basically a free Photoshop. That was not the intention. Just like he would express it as, if you have some photos you've taken, you can use this software and maybe enhance them or something, and that was it. But it did have a brush tool and circle, square, and line tool, path tool, all the things that you would also find in any other like Photoshop or artistic digital painting kind of software, Illustrator and all that. I've used pretty much everything since starting with about the year 2000, I believe. Now remember, we want his head to pop out, and this isn't really going to help, I think, if this area is white too, because I want him pop out. I do want some brilliance to come off of the stream of fire, some light illumination. So you see, if I do it like that, now his head is really, popping out, and we can even do some shadow back here, like a cast shadow or something. And with that kind of stuff, like a smoother line over here, that just helps things to pop out, make them more visible. Good thing about a lot of these sketch lines, which is why I love sketching so much, is they bring out so much to the imagination. So here I have all these little like sketch all around here, and some people, when they're drawing, they'll say like they think you should just make straight confident lines. But if you look at things in reality, things are not made of straight confident lines. There's a lot of little flaws, bumps, grooves. That's kind of what makes things real. A lot of detail. And definitely something a little weird around here. Almost looks like he's wearing some makeup or something. It's possible that I could be wrong about this blackness here. It just looks too foggy, muddy. Here. Yeah. After all, this is going to be a time-lapse video, so I'm not going to waste my breath too much. Although I might put this video might also go on to Realtime. I could have Realtime and the time-lapse both up on YouTube. I don't know if you can hear through the microphone. There's like scratching sound of the pen on the Wacom tablet. Apparently it's pronounced Wacom. I went to their actual site and watched their video, and that's what they call it. I kind of wish it was Wacom though. I think that's easier to say. It sounds more normal. Wacom is like kind of, I guess it's wacky. Sounds kind of wacky. Wacky Wacom. And definitely have some shadow coming back here. It's probably going to be scales come in at some point, although really not a big deal. This just looks so muddy. Sometimes we just clean it up. That'll do the trick. Yeah, it helps. That helped a lot. It's a lot better. Okay. So, still kind of feel like, one thing, like if you zoom out like this, or some people say if you kind of like blur your eyes or zoom out, that's when you can tell how clear your composition is. Whoops. Because, well, I'm not sure if I know why. If you can, I guess the point is if you can see it, if you can make it out clearly when it's small like that, then that pretty much says it's pretty good. It's clear, which is what you want. What I'm saying here is that the smoke is kind of splitting off into two separate shafts. One's going this way, one's going that way, and there's there's a space in the middle where it's not really going. Maybe there's a little bit here. And the reason for that is just to be a bit more random. Oops, that's the wrong one. I had all kinds of settings set up in the GIMP. So remember I was talking about the energy having waves. We can also have that down here. I have one wave here, another one here. And it's just that thinking about things like this helps to bring out some creativity. You try and think of like, I mean, one of the best things you could study, I guess, if you're going to get into art a lot, in addition to just the technique itself, would be science. Because science tells you so much, physics basically tells you so much about the way things are moving around and what's happening. Okay. This right now looks kind of like, I'm trying to pull a year out of a hat here, so it looks kind of like a 19, maybe even 1800s kind of illustration that you might find in a fantasy novel. Could we say, because it's got all these like sketchy lines. That's just how it used to be back then. I guess there was time constraints. There was illustration, graphical constraints, because they didn't have color publications back then. So what you'd get is a lot of these highly detailed line works like this. Not to say it's really all that detailed, but I think you know what I mean. Just looks like an old illustration. There's something I don't like about the neck area. It looks too cartoony, almost like a coloring book. And a part of that is certainly because of, and this goes back to that composition using lighting. If you look at people, I mean, if you look at anything in life is what I was trying to get at, you see that things don't really have, excuse me, I'm busy like trying to get this pen to the right size. Things don't really seem to have a lot of lines around them. As a matter of fact, nothing ever has lines around them like you see in drawings. Most things just have their color. So when you draw like a line, if you draw like somebody's head, and you might start off like drawing the outside like an oval kind of shape, or you might start off with a circle or something. It's called contour lines. It's trying to represent the shape of something. But in reality, things don't have lines around them, right? So how does that even, why do people even perceive it that way? It seems it's just an easy way to draw. But then, when you start painting or something, you realize that was completely unnecessary. So here, I took away the line, and what I did is I'm going to take advantage of the fact that things that are further away here, like his other wing, should probably be a little bit darker. Now behind his neck, there actually should be some shading here because of the fire. It's going to make a shadow. It's going to light. It's not even just making a shadow, just lighting up the front. But in order to portray that in this situation, the only thing I can really do is draw in a shadow on the opposite side. So you could say everything was dark, and his sorry, I was just thinking, working on that there. You could say everything is dark and the light is just bringing certain things to light, or you could say everything's light except for where there's not light. Either way, it's that's what happens. So you see what happened here. I can use a lot less. I'm taking advantage of the shading that should be back there, or even if it's not, I just invented my own shade darkness back there. So now I can avoid doing too much line, like contour line around here. Ultimately, the best thing would be to have no contour lines at all, and just let the light and shade do the job for you. nitpicky with these little things here and this here. And I'm thinking about scales. It's basically what's on my mind at the moment. A couple different ways to go about this. Here's one of them. I'm just going to go like this. And if you look at a lizard, which is the perfect reference for a dragon, you normally see that their bellies do not have scales. It's like the outer body. So by making this crisscross pattern here, you get a simple scale effect, which is frequently found on a lot of animals, reptiles. But it's not the only way. I think there's a very large variety of different types of patterns that can be found. I found this one useful. And I did not create this idea. I've seen other people do it in other drawings, and it just seemed to work. But on the belly side, if you think like a snake, I think most reptiles follow that same pattern where they have sort of basically just like this. They have these, their belly side has these kind of lines that are representing these sort of like scales or muscles on their bottom side that help them to crawl around. Right. So now that dragon has a lot more shape to it. I was a little worried at first if his head would be too small for his body, but I think it actually looks kind of smart like that. If you make the head too big, then you run the risk of being too cartoony, which is okay if that's what you want. See, now I'm thinking here he might even have some light up here, because light is going to be bouncing all over the place here. Hope you can excuse my grunting. Keep clearing my throat. I've actually been like that my whole life. It's a bad habit. I'm not sure if it's a habit or if I actually have like they used to say I might have some allergies, like slight allergies, but I guess when hay fever comes around, I do get that, like in the spring and stuff. Nothing chronic. So sometimes I think I most envy the situation where people do have chronic problems, which sounds kind of, you know, not smart. Because if you have a chronic problem, then you know you have a problem, it's very clear, it's very defined, and then you actively can work on it. But if you have a mild problem, then, you know, people kind of like try and put it to the side, and it's like this tiny little nuisance that's still there. So you can't really complain about it because it's a mild problem. But you also can't get treatment for it. But at the same time, it's still there, and it is in fact annoying. He looks a little scruffy. What I'm doing here is got like tattered robe, like a tattered attire. And if I was in the GIMP, I could make a perfect straight line by pushing a key, but it doesn't seem to work here. Does that work? No. Does that work? No. Okay. I've lost the ability to draw at all now by pushing too many keys. Or is my keyboard dead? Nope, it's still there. Well, let me get out of this view. I might be stopping this right here. What did I do? I don't want it in erase mode. I want it in normal mode. And, oh, is it possible that I changed the color? If I hide this layer, was I drawing in white? Yeah, I'm drawing in white. I must have pushed some key. So how do I get back to black with this? There it is up there. There we go. I'm drawing again. Yeah, I might actually just leave this one here if I come back, because I don't know how much time I can put into a time lapse. The video has to stay like quite short. And so let's imagine that somebody's watching the video right now. It's in time lapse. I want them to be able to view this last, to get a good look at it. So I'm going to leave this here, just standing still a little bit, which when you put it in the time lapse will only last for like a few seconds. Because what's going to happen is I'll have to finish my thoughts. I just realized I gotta have a little bit more shade here. Have some cast shadows back here will be kind of helpful. Yeah. What was I saying? I'm gonna have something. Yeah, I'm planning to have like 3 drawings. And going by in time lapse, and it's going to be just I'm only going to have like seconds to deal with, and I want people to very quickly get the idea of what's happening on the channel, how I'm just drawing things. So I got to keep the action going here. I don't want to have to go into the video editor and do like all this work to separate parts and bring out the highlights and all this stuff, because it's tedious work, which I've tried before and do not like at all. Not with the software I have anyway. I'm on Linux here, so kind of limited options. Even if I wanted to spend $1,000, $2,000 on some fancy software, I just cannot do that because I don't have Windows right now. Okay, that looks a lot better. Helps bring the foreground out a little. This is supposed to be like a rock here, but I'm not sure that's working with the wing over there too. Anyway, bring the smoke out a little bit. I do like there's some wavy pattern going on here. That seems okay. Can I rotate? And it is supposed to be very bright around this area because all that fire is shooting up, stirring up a lot of light. Need to fill this area in a little bit, and I will genuinely be done. Like 1, 2, 3, these here, and then a couple more in the background there, just like that. Because otherwise it just looks like you scribbled, it basically just looks like, what's that? It looks like you just scribbled a bunch of stuff. Even if people can't tell that these are the stalactite or stalagmites, whichever one they are, that's fine, as long as it looks like it's something that isn't just a bunch of loose scribbles. Because in that case, it looks like you just forgot to do whatever you're doing there. You just gave up. And there's a difference between a good finished professional looking illustration and not, where you just kind of like look like you just gave up or something, or you like forgot some area, maybe some lines in some areas, or like just drawn very sketchily, not paid attention to. But I also have to worry about time. I can't spend like endless hours on this. I think that's pretty much good enough for a black and white thing to get the point across there. I'd like to do a little bit more cross hatching back here, so it kind of like slowly comes into the area. And again, everything has energy in life, so why not remember to make some waves. There's a bunch of other stuff. I feel like I didn't exactly finish saying what I was talking about with in regards to the stuff I learned from other videos, watching Jim Lee and this and that. And that's why I have a channel and not just this one show, so I can continue to go on about those thoughts, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about, really. So that's it for this one, and I will probably upload this soon, make a time lapse of it. Hope you enjoyed. You can also find the image below, whether this be on YouTube or wherever it is, this video, somewhere around, probably underneath the video is a link to the full image, and I'll probably even touch it up a little, because I can't really do all of the tiny little detailed stuff that takes hours to do within the video. So let me zoom in a little bit. Have a look at it. Look here, look there. Definitely need to take a break, come back and look at it. And the other trick is to flip it. Can I flip it here? Rotate. Yeah, there we go. What does that mean? No. Shear image. I just want to flip it. How do I flip it? Well, maybe I won't do that this time then, because I don't want to waste video time looking at stuff like that. That's about it. And I will flip it. What I've been trying to do is get like a mirror flip of it, so I can see if anything stands out to me, because your eyes get used to looking at stuff while you're drawing it, and it's hard to notice things that once your eyes get used to it. Anyway, that's it for now. See you in the next show, hopefully. Have a good one. Bye bye.